American legend. Coming to you from the U.S. and streaming all over the world. This is Shotgun Sports USA. Get accurate, reliable information in every single episode. With interviews from the best shooters in the game, the best gun clubs across the globe, and industry-leading companies that revolutionize the sport. Find us online at shotgunsportsusa.com. Shotgun Sports USA is driven by Beretta, the #1 choice of champions. Also brought to you by Cole Gunsmithing, Rick Hemingway's Pragmatic Trap Sales, Castellani USA and Ultimate Shooting Accessories, Soundgear Phantom, Clay Target Vision, and Clay Shooter Supply. Welcome to the show. Better with Beretta. Pro tips from the #1 choice of champions.
My name is Joseph Fanizzi, professional shooter for Team Beretta. Something that gets frequently brought up and talked about a lot in our sport is shaking off a bad day or a bad event. Bad days happen to all of us, and there's no way to deny that it's frustrating when you don't perform or shoot to the potential that you know you're capable of. While bad days do in fact happen, and at times it seems like there's nothing you can do about it, the only thing worse than a bad day or a bad event is dwelling on it and allowing it to cause more. When getting caught up in the particular moment, it's easy to be in a down state and feel negative about your shooting and think that you just don't have it that weekend or in that event, but you can't allow that one performance to cloud up and fog your mind of your capabilities and past successes up to that point. One event doesn't define you, and no, it's not true that you are only as good as your last performance. Don't allow your confidence to be based off of how you're shooting in that particular day or moment, but rather off of the trust in your preparation, prior experiences, and passion for the sport. And that carries with you regardless of what day it is or how you're shooting. I believe inconsistency is based off of a fluctuation in your self-awareness and confidence that allows doubt to creep its way in. To avoid the snowball effect of one bad event turning into a bad weekend, remember it's not just that moment you were in, but everything you have been through as a clay target shooter, and try to relive your past successes and great shots made, and know that you have the ability to and can always do it.
I have 4 guys on with me today, and they are all members of Junior Team USA Sporting and are heading out to England shortly to compete in the World English Sporting Championship at EJ Churchill. All 4 of them are very qualified and may be the best junior team that I've ever seen. Please welcome to the show Joe Fanizzi, Todd Hitch, Turner Parcell, and Connor Daniel. So, as all of you know, we've got Turner Parcell, Joe Fanizzi, Todd Hitch, and Connor Daniel on with us today. And these are the 4 guys that's on the junior team. Team USA headed over to EJ Churchill in England to shoot the World Sporting in about a week. First off, congratulations, guys, on making the team. I feel without a doubt that this team will walk all over the competition. So I'm gonna give one stat for each one of these guys that is current, 23 stats. Joe Fanizzi wins or HOAs the Northeast Regional Fee Task. Todd Hitch HOAs the Southeast Regional. Connor Daniel the Southeast Regional Fee Task. Turner Parcell wins the North Carolina State Championship and is right there at the top at Georgia State. These guys are going head to head with all the top guys in the USA. All right, and I got a strange feeling that these guys going head-to-head with everyone else in the world won't be much different. So I'm not taking anything away from anybody or any of the teams that we've had previously, but this team right here is probably four of the best junior shooters that I have ever seen, and I'm sure that a lot of people would agree with me. So that's what I.
Well, we appreciate that. It means a lot. Thank
that's
you.
what I got to say. And Todd's over there right now. Where you at, Todd?
I'm in between Oxford and London. Exactly halfway.
Oh yeah, I know exactly where that's at. Okay, so what are you doing over there so early? I mean, you start shooting what, the 3rd of July? Is that right? Something like that?
Yes. Yeah. First weekend in July is the shoot. Sorry, second weekend in July is the shoot. Right now we're just currently over here on a family vacation. Sister got engaged, so doing a little bit of celebration while over here.
Nice. What are you doing? Just hanging out, checking things out?
So far, we went towards some Seaford Cliffs yesterday. Sorry, Seven Sisters Cliffs in Seaford, England. And then today we went to the Harry Potter exhibit.
Oh, you're going over trying to pick you up a girlfriend, aren't you?
You're not hooking me up too well, Justin. We're gonna make by something.
So like I said, you're all going to EJ. Some of you, I think Joe, you're the only one that's shot there before. The other 3 guys haven't. So Joe, how does it feel to know that you are headed back overseas to represent Team USA again? I guess you could say at one of the most iconic gun clubs in the world, really.
Absolutely, no doubt. Well, first of all, thanks for having us on today. Really appreciate the opportunity. And of course, you're asking how it feels. It's definitely a really fun experience to be able to go overseas and compete, but more importantly, to have the honor and just the opportunity to represent the United States once again is just such a great feeling. I've told this to many people before, and I don't ever see this changing as long as I continue to shoot sporting clays. But I think the biggest honor within our sport is having the opportunity to go represent the United States as a member of NSCA's Team USA, to go contend for a medal and represent the shooting in the United States, especially when it's you're going to a foreign country. So I've had the opportunity to be a member of Team USA since 2019. That was the first time I ever competed as a member of Team USA, and it was at EJ Churchill in England. So really looking forward to headed back there to compete. I was there for the World Fee Task in 2019. So this is going to be a little different, even though I have been to EJ Churchill. It's going to be for the World English Sporting. So it'll be a little different dynamic. But, as far as a place, EJ Churchill is just it's a prestigious ground, absolute state-of-the-art venue. It's just a very proper, classy experience. It's kind of, very pomp and circumstance, the way they do everything over there with shooting in England. And it's just a great experience. The slogan for EJ Churchill is the home of shooting. And I think that's a very fitting, way of putting it, just because of how great things are over there. And I always like to kind of compare EJ Churchill to, I call it the Augusta National Sporting Clays. It kind of reminds me of how I imagine Augusta National being in golf, where it's just well manicured, well kept, and just a real thrill to be able to go there and compete in the sport that you love. So I'm super excited and looking forward to it, and looking forward to competing with this amazing team of great shooters that are on this podcast today.
Yeah. Turner, this is your first time. Is this your first time going overseas at all to shoot?
Yeah, yes, sir. This will be my first time ever going overseas. I'm really looking forward to it. So
I bet I could just assume you're a little nervous about it. I know I would be.
I don't know if it's more nervous. I think it's more of an excitement type of thing to, go overseas and experience a whole new, way and style of shooting that the Europeans have really, mastered in all their years of, because they've been doing this a lot longer than us. So it's going to be a whole different feel. The time difference is definitely going to be a little bit different. The 6 hours, not really looking forward to that. But, I think it's more of an excitement than a nervous feeling.
So what are your thoughts on this tournament and being such a part of an elite group as Team USA?
Yeah, just like Joe said, I feel like representing, the U.S., your home country, in a world championship is one of the most prestigious and honorable, things that I feel like that we have in our sport. And, I'm just very grateful to have shot, well enough last year to have made it on the team and be able to go to EJ Churchill and shoot with these 3 guys. So, I just think, honor is, I think is a big word for me. So
yeah, you're a newer Krieghoff shooter. Yeah, now you're shooting with Remington too as well, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, when you picked up that Krieghoff and you started shooting, your name started moving up to the top of the list. And I guess you're shooting that gun like you want to shoot it.
I mean, I'm trying my best. Yes, sir. Definitely. I feel like me and the OK gun have really married up, and we're just like it's like an extension of my body. So I really am having a great time with the K gun, shooting it well.
Yeah. Connor, the newly signed Team Beretta shooter. I don't know if you guys know that. Did you know that, Joe?
I did know that. Yeah, I
Okay.
texted Connor right away when I heard the news. I'm excited for him. It's going to be a great deal.
So, and he's the youngest on the team. I think you're 15, right, Connor?
Yes, sir.
Well, you shoot like you've been shooting for years, for sure. And I know you've shot in Italy before, but this time you get to work as a team in England. So, how have you been preparing for this, and what's your expectations?
Well, I've been shooting a lot lately, and I think I'm really looking forward to shooting with these three guys, pretty much the greatest junior shooters in the country. And I think it's going to be a great experience to go overseas and shoot against all the different countries and shoot at EJ Churchill, which is what a great club from what I hear. And I just think that I'm really looking forward to it.
Joe, do something. Describe EJ Churchill to me and to these other three guys that haven't shot there yet. How could you sum it up in a few words?
From my previous experiences, which was just a 1 week of actually being there, it's a really nice, like when the whole clubhouse area, like their gun room. We like to call it the village area, like during the tournament where they have all the tents set up, where all the shuttles depart from and kind of arrive at. All that is just really well put together. I don't know exactly the grounds that they use for the World English Sporting, but for the World Feet Task while I was there, they were using pieces of land and grounds for the tournament that weren't even, I think, necessarily theirs, that they shoot on year round. They really expand and broaden the perspective of where, they host the tournament. Like we would get on a van and ride 15, 20 minutes away from where the actual ground was and get to this like unbelievable piece of virgin ground that had never been shot before, and just beautiful rolling hills. The towns in the surrounding area are really nice. It's super close to London, which is kind of cool. That it's really in the grand spectrum. It's not that far from the city. Like I said earlier, it's just state of the art. A lot of history there. Really, really pretty place. So I'm super excited to go back. But you can't allow that aurora and that amazing venue to kind of take you out of your game. It'd be like a really good high school football player that's now playing in the SEC, and he's going to his first away game at a really big stadium, with the fans going crazy and all that. You just got to play your game and focus on the opportunity at hand and not allow all the other distractions to kind of, intimidate you or make you nervous. Like Turner said, it's excitement. I think, maybe having some butterflies, having, a little bit of nerves is a good thing. It's a desire to want to do well. It's the passion you have for your country, and wanting to represent well, and the passion for our sport and wanting to compete at a high level. One thing I do remember is they had a incredible opening ceremony last time. They had a really cool band where they would, introduce the countries, and that you would all process in. And there's a spectacular. It's like a castle that they do the opening ceremonies at. It's just really proper, really state of the art, first class experience. The folks in England were great hosts, and it was just great to immerse ourselves in that culture and be able to shoot where clay shooting was birthed. England is where it all started. So to be able to go over there and compete at the World Championship is as good as it gets, and I can't wait. I'm just tickled and itching to get over there as soon as we can.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and so one of you I know the answer to this. Don't you all start on station one instead of doing it like we do, start on several different stations?
Yes.
And you have different flight times, I guess, kind of like golf. You start at 10:20 and then 10:25. Is that how that works?
Yes.
So do they say that the targets progressively get harder or easier? Is that how do they start you out? How does that I don't know. That's why I'm asking these questions. Does anybody know?
Personally, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
So I have been told
We're
I've
not-
been told by a couple people that they say they kind of the first few stations they kind of ease you in a little bit
Yeah.
for the first few just because everybody starts at the same place and then it kind of ramps up. But it's not like a progressively getting harder and harder and harder. Like station 1's easy and station 10 is the hardest one out there. It has a good flow to it.
Yeah.
You know, the good target setters are going to have a good flow to a course, so it's going to ebb and flow with the target difficulty. But I think they kind of ease you in a little bit at the beginning and then ramp it up
Yeah.
a little bit towards the middle. And
Yeah.
so
Todd, the old saying is practice makes perfect, right? And it seems to fit you pretty well because it seems like you've got a practice routine that some would say is a little overboard, but you like it that way. So how much have you been practicing for this tournament?
Not as much as people think I've been. I've actually probably shot less this year than I've ever have. But I've also given 2 to 3 times as many lessons as I've had. So I'm still watching as many, if not more, birds than I typically shoot in a year. But it's more important for me now because of the work I've done in the past with that regimen of a practice routine. That it's more important for me to be well rested going in a shoot and make sure my eyes are good than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd say I've had practice 3 times consistently last week, about 250 shares each practice, so 750 last week. And then the only time I'm shooting is in tournaments while I'm over here. So I've got my gun in Sunday morning. I haven't even looked at it to make sure it's in one piece yet. So
I don't believe that. You've probably got it over sitting right next to your bed, don't you?
I saw
Connor does. Connor does that.
yeah, Connor sleep with his.
Yeah. Where's your gun at right now, Connor?
My gun's actually in the safe downstairs. It'll be by my bed once we get over there, though.
So Turner, again, you just graduated high school, right?
Yes, sir.
How does that feel that you're done with high school?
It's different. It's definitely a different feeling of not having to go through the high school regimen next year and kind of going more off on your own into college. And I had my so I'm going to the University of South Carolina, and I had my first student orientation a couple weeks back, and it's just different.
Yeah.
In high school, the teachers, well, for me, it's my high school. I went to a private school, and our teachers were very rule oriented, kind of had everybody following a set guideline type of thing. And in the orientation they kind of let us do whatever we want to, and I got to make my own classes, which was by far the most stressful thing I've ever done in my entire life. They just gave me a Dell MacBook and told me to sign up for classes, and I sat in a classroom for 2.5 hours trying to figure out classes because I got the worst stuff since I'm a freshman. So but it's definitely a cool feeling. I like, the college experience will be fun.
Yeah. Well, you can talk to Joe. He's well versed in the college experience. You'll see you'll see Joe running around sometimes on Instagram with his shirt off and cowboy hats on, and you never know what Joe's going to be doing on Instagram.
Aggie games.
It's hard not to have a fun time in College Station. All of my friends that are Aggies will agree with me on that. It's a really special place. But hey, Columbia is going to be a lot of fun too, Turner. I might have to come out and visit.
Yeah.
For one of them,
I'm telling you, it's gonna be a good time.
Out there and watch the Gamecocks.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm telling you, we're getting better. That's that Beamer ball.
Hey, I will tip my hat. You guys are definitely getting better. It's going to be a good football team for sure. Good time to be a student there.
That's right.
Well, Connor, aren't you planning on going to Georgia Southern, Connor?
It's up in the air still, but that's definitely a good option for me.
What you got to say about their football team?
Georgia Southern. It's not as good as Georgia's, which I'm still a Georgia fan.
Oh yeah, that's right. You are a big Georgia fan.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's where I would. Look at Joe? Joe, what's wrong with Georgia? Even though they're national champions past 2 years, what's wrong with Georgia?
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I think it's just because I'm not naming them.
Just making sure. So Connor, I got a 10-year-old I need to start getting lessons for. Do I need to send him to see you? You gonna start giving lessons?
Oh man, I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I need to start getting into that a little bit. I know Todd does a lot of lessons, but it'd be a good way to start out making some money. I think it helped my shooting a lot too.
Todd brought up a good topic. The international birds, the sizes and the speed. I'm assuming Todd's what you're talking about. Is is something that I would think about if I was going overseas. Let's talk about that for a second. Turner, I know you've never seen them.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've never been over there, but I've definitely shot. I mean, we've shot in some tournaments where they throw their, because in those international targets, our targets are 108 millimeters and they're 110.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I've shot a few of those. We at Rocky Creek, in Richburg, South Carolina, we have a machine set up on a tower right now that's actually throwing 110. So I've been shooting that a little bit, but I'm not really that focused on, I guess, the size and the speed of target. I know everybody says targets are jacked up, full spring over there, far, stuff like that, hard, technical. But I mean, if you really just look at the target and break it down and see detail, I just think your eye will kind of go to the target and register speed and the size and everything like that. So,
who can explain seeing the detail on the target the best and what it means?
Seeing the detail to me means my eyes lock into a center circle or seeing dimples on a target that's spinning. Clearly, to a certain distance, you can't see dimples 50 to 60 yards, but anything within that, you can still see enough detail for your eye to lock on. So you're not looking at a whole target, you're looking at a specific target, so a specific spot on the bird that makes the target look bigger and slows it down with your eyes.
Joe, do you see stuff like that in detail?
Somewhat. Real quick before I talk about that, back to Turner's response to your question.
Yeah.
I think Turner gave the absolute perfect answer that any of us could have given. And it's, a couple things may factor into play, like the size of the target might be a little bigger. They also have grooves on international targets that cut through the air a little bit more, and that, that might factor in with some speed and things like that. But at the end of the day, a clay target's a clay target, and you have to be aware of, how the target's being thrown, and you have to read the bird and what it's doing, but you can't allow that to, creep into your mind and scare you, or, I've never shot many of these before in competition. The more that I've been able to shoot overseas and the more experiences that I've had, if you just keep things simple and you trust yourself and you trust your ability and you focus on looking at the target and reading the bird and just pulling the trigger and having trust in your shot, everything will fall into place. So yeah, things are a little different, but I think that's exciting. With new things comes opportunities to learn and grow and excel and rise to the occasion when it matters most. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be shooting international birds over there, which we don't shoot a whole lot over here, but we're going to get over there. We're going to look at them. We're going to load the shell in our gun. We're going to pull the trigger. We're going to smoke them. That's the plan. I know all four of us will be able to do that, as well as, all of our other fellow Americans that are going overseas, and just looking forward to that opportunity. So I was really, really excited to hear Turner respond to your question like that, because I think that was the perfect response that I think if you were to ask me or Todd or Connor, we probably would have responded a similar way. And I think they can probably agree with me on that. So good job, Turner. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to looking at a target specifically, I definitely try to focus really hard on the clay, and instead of just looking at the whole bird itself while it's flying in the air. You have to, look at a certain edge, or if the sun's hitting a clay a certain way, like a black clay, you can see a shiny part of the target or something like that. It's definitely important to try and focus on the clay, but I'm a little different than a lot of other people, more so than just looking at the target. I try to be really aware of, the backgrounds and the surroundings. And I'm looking just as hard at marking a break point and my hold point. My setup is a big part of how I shoot. So, when I go in there and you guys see me kind of do my pre-shot and I'm kind of envisioning the target flying and I'm pointing my finger, I'm really, kind of using the background and getting my landmarks and pinpointing where I want to break a target and where I'm going to hold my gun. And I'm looking at, a branch in the distance, or a bush down on the ground, or a rock or something like that, as hard as I'm, looking at a lot of the other things. And when it comes time to call pull, you set your eyes where you can, and everybody sets their eyes sometimes in different places. Sometimes people like to set their eyes way out far and let the target kind of come into their vision on a soft focus. I try to see a target regardless pretty much as early as I can off the plate in most situations, unless it's like a really, really fast quartering bird so my eyes don't get beat. But when it comes time to look, I'm going to try and look for the target as early as I can and see it come out. And a lot of that comes with timing, whether that comes into something about overseas that I can definitely tell you from past experiences is they do a really good job of utilizing I guess, the nature that's out there and hiding a lot of the traps. So a lot of the traps are hidden, and you don't see a lot of the traps sometimes from my experiences. So you can't really see the target come off the arm. So it's important to know where it's going to pop out and kind of have your timing. But it's also really important to try and listen for the bird. A lot of people don't realize that, but I think trying to hear a trap and hearing the launcher go or hearing that arm throw is really important for your timing, knowing that the bird's going to be flying out. And all of that kind of works hand in hand with seeing the target, and so you definitely want to see the bird. You definitely want to focus on the target and see it really hard, all the way till, you pull the trigger. Sometimes it's good to watch the target break. Sometimes on a really quick true pair, you can't get enamored and in awe of your target breaking. You watch your target break too long because then the other target might be gone, so you just really got to be aware of your surroundings. It depends on the presentation. Depends if you're shooting a report or true pair. A lot of things factor in, and everybody's a little different. But yeah, you definitely want to try to pick up detail on a target and look at it, but also be aware of the backgrounds, the line. Is it flying up? Is it flying down? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Connor, you got your coach isn't going with you. He's made the team, which is Zach. And one of his famous sayings is see it late, see it break. You might change that up a little bit, it sounds like, if you go over there, right?
Well,
I know you made FETASC and Sporting, which a couple of these other guys did too. What do you hope to see? What do you hope to experience? And I know you hope to win. But
my big goal for these next couple of weeks is I'm in the alternate spot for both of the FETASC and Sporting teams, and I think we're going to have a good time. I think I'm going to have a good time shooting with these three shooters right here. I'm going to be ready for when I am on the team and when my score counts for the team. I think I'm going to be ready in the next couple of years when hopefully I do make that spot. I think all this year is all about getting more of experience and knowing what it's like to be on Team USA and knowing what it's like to compete against some of the best in the world.
Joe, how old were you when you made the first team?
I had just recently turned 16, so my birthday's May 11th, and we went overseas right around the 1st of July. So I had just turned 16. I was on the team the first year I made it. I was on the team with Dominic Grossi and Jonathan Gadrick, and the three of us went over and competed, and my friend Clayton Cutshall was the alternate. We went over and competed at EJ Churchill for the 2019 World FETASC, and we won the junior gold medal as a team. And that was a great experience. So that was the first time I made Team USA. That was in 2019.
Turner, this is your first time. How old are you now?
I'm 18 now.
18. Okay, Todd, what about you? How old were you when you made it?
I was 17. My first year was 2020.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking that is because Connor is being 15. I don't know if he may be, and somebody can answer this if they know, or somebody listening can answer, but he may be the youngest one to make Junior Team USA. Am I right when I'm saying that?
He's definitely one of the youngest.
Sounds right. I'm not exactly sure on the stats, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. 15 is very young, very impressive.
Yeah.
Excited
and
for him.
When did you start, Connor? When you was 14?
About 3 years ago now.
I remember Zach a long time ago saying, you got to come down to Savannah and shoot with this kid I know. I said, who's that? He said, Connor Daniel. And I got a picture still. I saw it the other day on my phone. He was about 2.5 foot tall, and and he was wearing them out. I said, my gosh, this kid is going to be good. And now I look at him, he's Team USA. So, I think it's cool. So, are you preparing to do anything before you go, or are you just going to wait till you get there like these other guys seem to be doing?
I think we have a lot of practice, and we're trying to shoot a couple smaller shoots before we head out into the big stage. But I think for now I'm ready. I'm ready to shoot. And it's obviously a lot of pressure, but I think we're up for the challenge.
What about the customs thing? Let's talk about getting your guns over there and how all that operates, because if Turner's anything like me, that would be the thing I'm worried about the most, is how all that's going to operate. Am I going to lose my gun? Am I going to lose my clothes? Because I would just turn around and come right back. And if I'm like Todd right now, he don't have any air condition over at his house. Yeah, I would instantly leave.
Ooh.
Rough. That's rough right there.
Yeah. I talked to Mike DeAnda on the podcast a few weeks ago, and I told him, I said, if you're going over there, because he's a big guy, I said, you need to find a place with air. He said, well, I didn't know they didn't have air. Yeah, they don't have air.
They're in the right places. It's definitely when we get the opportunity to travel overseas and go elsewhere, whether it's for clay shooting or just vacation or whatnot, we really get to see how blessed we are to live in the United States and how many amazing things that we have over here that sometimes we may take for granted. But when you go to Europe, it'll be okay. There will be places that have AC, and I'm pretty sure we're all staying in the same hotel for EJ Churchill. I think that'll be a good experience. I think it'll all work itself out. If anything, we just realize how blessed we are back here in the United States. Sometimes things that we think is pretty normal or should come regularly is a pretty big deal overseas in some places. But England's a nice country, and we're going to have a great time. And then for those of us going over to Hungary, that's going to be a nice experience too.
So are you staying over there? How does that work? Are you just going to stay over there and go to Hungary? Are you coming back?
Yes. World Feed Task is about a week later.
Okay.
So it's actually, I think, yeah, it's exactly a week later, actually. So for those of us that are going over there, we'll finish shooting the World English at EJ Churchill and then maybe stay a day or two and then head over and fly to Budapest and get ready to shoot World Feed Task in Hungary.
Nice.
Back to real quick, you were asking about the guns. One thing I'll say about, the customs and permits and all that, Miss Glenn Mosley, who is in charge of helping a lot of us with all of our gun permits and paperwork and organizing a lot of the Team USA stuff. She's been a huge help. I know for myself, she has been right there back and forth, emailing, taking phone calls at all times of the day. She really goes above and beyond, and she's been doing it for a long time. And sometimes I don't know if Miss Glenn gets enough credit. I mean, she's the sweetest lady ever, but she's saved my tail a couple times, not just this year, but in previous years. And, I think you just have to stay on top of a lot of that stuff. It's good to not procrastinate. It's good to get your serial numbers on your paperwork, down correctly and be prepared with your letter of invitation. Just be organized to when you do have to show that to the folks at customs and they're looking at everything. Just be prepared and have everything done correctly ahead of time. And hopefully it'll be smooth sailing. A lot of it has to do with the country you're going to as well. I've had certain experiences, like in Italy last summer. They were really, laid back and not too crazy strict when it came to, getting through customs with the gun paperwork. And then I've been to other places. Like this past February, we went to the United Arab Emirates and we were in Dubai, and that's one of the most uptight, secure countries in the whole world when it comes to, their national security and being able to have possession of weapons and stuff like that. And they were extremely strict. You couldn't even have, possession of your gun at any point throughout your whole time in the country, except while you were, competing. So England keeps a pretty tight grip, pretty tight rope on a lot of the stuff too with guns. So we'll have to be ready when we head over there. But Miss Glenn has helped us a lot with that for sure, for all the people on Team USA. So I wanted to share that.
Now, do you have to leave your gun at the gun club, Joe? Is that how that works? In England.
When we were in the United Arab Emirates, that was the case, but not in England. No.
Okay.
Every country that I've shot in before, England, Hungary, Italy, you can definitely take your gun with you. You have it at the hotel. You bring it on the shuttles out to go shoot. You take it back with you. You put it in your rental car. I'm sure if you wanted to leave it at the gun, there might be like some sort of a gun locker, kind of like what they have in San Antonio at the Nationals and things like that. But you can definitely keep it with you if you prefer.
Connor, that the cars over there are right-hand drive cars, right? So
Yeah.
who's going to drive, your mom or your dad?
I think
I'd like to be in the car with Marty one time.
She enjoys driving on the other side of the road too, so that's going to be an adventure.
Joe, you're in college classes for summer, which I think is crazy, but you like college. How is that? Does that have any play on making good grades, traveling overseas, wanting to shoot well? How do you do all that?
It is very tough. It's a very good question. It's something that when a lot of people see me, most of the people in our sport, they just see me as a clay shooter. They see me at the tournaments, but there's a lot of other things and other, aspects of my life that I'm involved in, and being a full-time student at Texas A&M, you have to prioritize, the things that matter a lot to you in life and being a good student and, being successful in that field. is very important to me. And I think it's important to focus very hard at being the best you can and dedicating time and desire to want to exceed in whatever the task is at hand. So last summer I was doing a full-time internship with a construction company, and it was just, you get to work at 6 a.m, you stay, late till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And I was, basically having an everyday work life. So when I was at work, I had to focus very hard on, compartmentalizing. This is what I need to focus on right now, the task at hand, and just the ability to be present, and try to do the best at whatever is in front of you. So last year was work, and then I would go practice, and then I would worry about competing at the tournament. Now I'm taking a full course of physics classes online, which has been very difficult because on top of the physics course, I also have to do a lab. So I literally have a lab kit that fits in a big box that I'll have to bring overseas with me. And I have everything from calipers in there to, measuring tubes to a little tank with butane for launching off rockets. I'm not even kidding. It's actually right over here. So, I mean, that's really tough because I'll, be competing and I actually have to take my final on the Friday evening while we're shooting the World English. So I'm going to focus on competing that day. And then I'm going to have to get back in the rental car, go back to the hotel room, get hooked up on the Wi-Fi and do the work. So it presents its challenges, but it's helped me grow a lot. The best way I can really describe it is I call it the light switch. You have to know when to turn the light switch on and off. When you're doing school, it's really not good to focus on clay shooting, even though it's hard not to let it kind of creep into your mind. It's in, your subconscious and you're thinking about clay shooting while you're doing schoolwork because then you can't focus on school. But when I'm shooting clays, I can't think about, when I'm trying to compete and I'm calling pull, I can't be thinking about, man, I have to really turn in a big physics lab assignment in the next, 5.5 hours that I haven't finished yet. And if I don't, then I'm going to get a bad grade and I'm going to have to retake this whole entire course. So there's a lot of that, and it has presented challenges for me time after time again. But through trial and error, I've learned a lot. Like I said, mastering compartmentalization, the ability to be present and just focus on the task at hand and try to do the very best that you can at whatever that is the best way to do that. And you just kind of got to take the bull by the horns, and it's not easy. If I have my best choice, I would just rather just be able to clay shoot, but there's other things that I want to be good at besides clay shooting. And I'm going to try to do the best that I can at every single one of them, whatever it is. So it'll all work itself out.
So I know he's over on England time and he needs to get going. Final thoughts, guys. Turner, we'll start with you. What's final thoughts about what we've talked about?
Like I said earlier, exciting. It's fun to travel over to England and overseas and to shoot. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to spending the however many days, 10 days plus, with these guys shooting, and hopefully bringing home a gold medal for the U.S.
Oh, y'all gonna bring it home? I don't.
Oh, that's a fact, Jack. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Focus on task at hand. Joe Fanizzi, focus on task at hand.
That's right. Todd, what you got to say?
I'd say kind of same thing. I'm not over in England, so I'm pretty excited about it for sure. As far as more of all what we've talked about, customs actually for England was actually the easiest I've ever had it. I met the officer at the gate for the customs office, and he opened up. I even actually brought over a bunch of ammo with me as well. So nice. Worked out real well there. Then if I touch on the targets real quick, that kind of the same thing they've said. Only difference I've noticed that they're flatter. If you have more muzzle awareness, then you can actually see the speed a little bit different. But if you look at the bird like you're supposed to, and you're matching the speed, you're matching the speed. So you can't tell much of a difference. And that's a quote Anthony Matter. He's told me if you're matching the speed. The falls, I'm in school as well, do college online. Kind of what Joe said, you got to focus on the task at hand. But for me, the big thing is time management, especially as a college kid doing it online. If I can wake up early, do it all that day for lunchtime, then I can free up for the afternoon, go work and do lessons and shoot. So big thing for any college kids out there is time management. It's not fun at times to do, especially the first couple of years, but waking up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, getting all your schoolwork done so you can shoot is definitely worth the reward.
Yeah. That's well said. Connor, what you got? What's your final thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to be a great experience for all of us. Shooting on the team. I think we're going to take it home, obviously,
Yeah.
like Turner said. But
Yeah. 10 or 15 birds, easy.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to standing up there on the podium with these three guys, and I think it's going to be a great time.
All right, Joe. I can ask you what your final thoughts are, but we might run out of time. So go ahead.
I'll say this. I'm very much so looking forward to having the opportunity to compete with these, three teammates of mine on Team USA for the junior team. Now, on paper, we do have a spectacular roster. The four of us are all great shooters. We all care about doing well. We're going to give it everything we have to the end. But, regardless of our previous accomplishments, or how long we've been shooting or how good of shots we are, how talented we are. Like I said, on paper, we're great, but at the end of the day, that just doesn't mean we automatically, get the win. We're going to have to rise to the occasion. We're going to have to execute. We're going to have to cross our T's and dot our I's. And this is a world championship. Nothing comes easy. So we're going to have to work for it. I definitely want to focus on, us not getting complacent. I think sometimes this happens a lot of times in sports. You have such a good team that it's just like, oh, there's no way it'll be a miracle, for them to not win or something like that. But at the end of the day, we got to go out there like the score is 0-0, regardless of where we're sitting going into the final day. And we just got to break every single target we can, one station at a time, one pair at a time, one bird at a time. And if any of us are struggling, we're going to help each other. We're going to pick each other up. We're going to cheer each other on. We want to see each other do well. And that all points back to us representing this amazing country, which I believe and I know is an absolute fact that the United States of America is the greatest country on the face of the earth. So to be able to represent the USA, to be able to shoot for USA, and to be able to shoot for each other and have each other's back is the best honor we can have, ever in clay shooting. So I'm excited. I don't want to get too overconfident or complacent. We're going to have to go out there and work for every bird. And I've been on the winning side of being on Team USA, and it's the best feeling in the world. And I've also been on the losing side of Team USA, and it is the worst feeling in the world. So I'm going to do everything I can and my abilities to help us, get that top step. And I know everybody else on this team is going to do the same. And that's why I think we're all equally so excited to just get over there and start with the work. So thank you for this opportunity, and can't wait to get over to England, represent the USA.
Well said. Well said. Well, guys, listen, I appreciate all of you coming on, and I'm pulling for you. So, good luck with that. Hope you're safe travels, and hope you get there safe and your families are safe, and y'all have a good time, and post some stuff online so we can see what's going on over there.
All right. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. It means a lot.
Yeah, we'll do.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
I'll see you, Todd, Connor, Turner. We'll see you there. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for listening. For more episodes, go to our website, shotgunsportsusa.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook.